we're at we're at Flores on the 5th of June 2020. The place, no, we're still at Flores. We're still at Flores on the 5th. The place where accused number 1 says he was allegedly driven to by Mohane, Namane, and Bongani, who from Fileria, who were escorted by the traffic cops where he got assaulted.
Bathi ke ngesikhathi besiqedela sikhuluma ngodaba la khona kumsola uqala ke kade bemhambisa ke ngemoto kathi noma kade beshela ngemoto kagibele kuyona ke kade khona kumugane lapho ke futhi nomnumzana ubongane futhi nomnumzana Ncamaneke la athi khona ke bamikisa kwindawo la basoka khona.
I'm listening, my lord.
Athi yebo ngilalele.
Yes, after that assault, accused then says he was then driven to Alberton by the same Mohane, Ngamane and Bongane, and they were using a Qashqai, and they were still being escorted by the normal traffic cops.
Athi ke ngemuva ukuthi bamshayeke khona lapho kwindawo kade bemshayela kuyona ke umsolo oqala kade khona ke uNcamane lapho ke ubongane futhi noMogane futhi kade bephelekezwa ke abasebenzi bezomgwaqo mhlawumbe ama traffic cop ke lapho ke ngesikhathi kade bemikisa eAlberton.
I'm listening, my lord.
Athi ngilalele.
And from there, in Alberton, they then met. Actually was booking to cells, and then having been booking to cells, then somebody, the police came, take him out, and took him to a gentleman who was waiting in the office.
Athi ke lapho ke ngesikhathi bekafika khona ke eAlberton bamthatha bamfaka ngaphakathi kumasezo sebambhuka ke lapho ke ngemuva ukuthi bambhuke ke lapho ke sofika bephose elithize lamkhipha ke lapho ke ngemuva ukuthi iphose lemkhiphe ke lapho ke lamnikisa komunye ke umnumzana uthize kade ahlezi ngaphakathi nje kolinye igumbi.
I'm following, my lord.
Athi yebo ngilalele.
And this, I suppose, was the commencement of this so-called pointing out.
Athi ngabe athi yasho ukuthi lokho kade kuhlelo la bezoqala khona ukuhamba ukwenza lokukhomba kwabo ke lapho.
I'm following, my lord.
Athi yebo ngiyakuzwa.
Now he then says, from Alberton to the place where he was instructed to point certain points, they were then escorted by TRT, by members of the TRT.
Athi lokuqhamuka lapho ke eAlberton kuze kufike kufinqe lindawo akade aya kuyona ke okhomba kuyona ke mhlawumbe abatshengisa yona ke kade bephelekezwa ngamaphoyisa ababiza ukuthi iTRT.
I don't know what this TRT is. I'll have to take specific instructions from him. It only comes to my mind now to verify what this TRT is, so that I don't put something that will be deemed misleading to you. Thank you. May I approach accused? Now, Brigadier, he says, Indeed, from Alberton to Flores, where he was made to point certain points, they then got escorted by members of the TRT. When I asked him, what is this TRT? He says, these are members from the South African police, like it's a specialized unit, the way in which I understand him, because these were not from the Ekurhuleni Metro Police, no, or from anywhere else. He says these members, it's TRT from the South African Police Services, who then accompanied him. But he says there were other people as well. He can't just remember what was happening, but that was almost like it was a busy environment.
Athi-ke lapho ngesikhathi kade behamba beqhamuka noma besuka kwindawo yaseAlbertine behamba bese kwindawo yaseFosloras la kade okhomba khona-ke athi kade hamba namaphoyisa khona amaphoyisa ababiza ukuthi TRT athi abanye beqembu lezi siphoyisa amathimba lezi siphoyisa-ke lapho-ke nakazi mhlawumbe angabasho ukuthi amaphoyisa kanjani-ke lawo-ke kepha kade kumatasatasa-ke ngesikhathi kade bemikisa lapho-ke kade khona futhi nabanye abantu angekho asho ukuthi mhlawumbe kade abobani-ke abantu bakhona-ke labo.
I'm following, my lord.
Now, thank you, Brigadier. You may comment if you want to. Up to this point.
Yes, so, my lord, maybe I'll just go back at the beginning to say, because that was a point of contention yesterday in terms of the sport. The sport where he moved to, or where it's alleged that he moved to, that is now from Flores to Albertine. And the point of contention from my side, my lord, was that the spot that I met him in my evidence was at the police station parking. That is now the police station of the South African Police Service, which in my understanding, insofar as the version that was given to me by counsel for Mr. Sibiya Malot, was that he moved from Tembisa using the November 3 highway, took the Phosphorus off-ramp, and then drove into this municipality area where there are a number of things, and my understanding is that in there it was said that there may have been a parking for the police station. It was not clear whether it's a police station for the police or metro, but that was my understanding of the vision that was given to me. And I differed, so I'm starting there, my lord, that I differed with that connotation because that section of the municipality, the South African police station does not form part of it. If you go in there, you will never be able to access the South African police station of Phosphorus. You will have to drive out, turn right, past the court, and then only get to the police station. The police station is a standalone building, so that is why I had an issue of saying now. I thought he alleged that he was assaulted at a different place, contrary to where I said I met him on the 30th of May 2020. So that's my first kick-off point, my lord.
Athi-ke lapho-ke ukhumbule khona nzathi ileli phuzu leli elidala ukuthi kube khona ingxabano kwezolo ngesikhathi kade bekhuluma-ke lapho-ke ngoba kade khona kungazwani noma ukungazwisisani phakathi kwabo bobabili-ke la athize yena la athi ufakazi khona-ke nabacanga ukuthi mhlawumbe umsoluqala uthize uma ngabe ekhuluma umnumzana uSibiya-ke lapho-ke ukuthi ngesikhathi waqhamuka lapho eThembisa police station ehamba bemikisa-ke Flores athena-ke ufakazi bashayela-ke umgwaqo omkhulu-ke umgwaqo kathela kawayeka lapho entry ngesingisi-ke lapho-ke ngesikhathi kade behamba besiya khona-ke lapho safika kwama khona-ke lapho-ke kule ndawo ethizini la bakhuluma ngayo ukuthi thizena-ke indawo leyo-ke inamabhilidi kamasipala-ke lapho-ke bese athi ufakazi ukhumbula khona zathi uma ngabe lapha kuleya building la kamasipala-ke lelo-ke angekhe ukhone ekuthizeni ufikele kwisikhumulo samaphoyisa saseFosloras ngoba uma ngabe ulaphayana-ke le ndawo lezi ndawo ezimbili futhi zahlukene futhi azikho ngaphansi kwesakhiwo sisodwa. Usuthi uma ngabe ulapho-ke ngaphansi kwamabhilidi kamasipala-ke lapho-ke kumele ushayele ngomgwaqo uhambe ngomgwaqo-ke uma ushayela ngomgwaqo uhamba ngomgwaqo-ke bese uyafika-ke lapha phambili uyajika esandleni sokudla-ke uma uqeda ujika esandleni sokudla kulahlangana khona-ke nenkantolo ekhona-ke lapho-ke Flores-ke uma uqeda udlula inkantolo khona-ke bese ushayela ngapha ngale kwenkantolo athi kula ufica khona-ke isikhumulo samaphoyisa sikhona-ke lapho-ke athi lapho-ke ena-ke khona-ke parking ekhona-ke lapho la indawo usho ukuthi indawo evame ukuthi-ke bayisebenzise abantu uma ngabe behamba bathatha imoto beya ngazo lapha e-police station noma lapho ke enkantolo kulaba bavame ukuthizeni bamise imoto zabo khona ke lapho ke athi ufakazi nakho kulawa ahlangana naye khona komsola ngaphandle kwesakhiwo noma isikhumulo seziphoyisa lapha eFosforus kule ndawo lena ke imisa ke imoto khona ke ngaphandle lokho.
Yes. Now, my lord, insofar as the assault, the allegation that he was assaulted there and then subsequently taken to Phosphorus where he was detained, I was not there. So I'm going to start on that part, that I was not there when he was moved from Valeria SAPS to Alberton police station. Insofar as the briefing I got, I did not get a briefing that he was taken to Phosphorus. My understanding in the report I got back from Sergeant Mokane, because he reported back to say, Colonel, at the time, I have now booked the suspect as per your directive at ACPS Alberton. I was not given a brief that at some stage they went to Phosphorus.
Athi-ke mana nodaba noma iphuzu la lelichunyile ukuthi umsolo wakhe umnumzana uSibiya washaywa khona-ke lapho-ke athi cha yena-ke ngesikhathi kade umnumzana uSibiya bemhambisa aqhamuka lapho kwisikhumulo samaphoyisa sasefileria ngesikhathi bekaqhamuka khona-ke bemhambisa bemisa ngale Alberton police station athi yena kade angekho-ke lapho-ke kepha inkulumo yena-ke ayizwe iqhamuka athi inkulumo awayizwe iqhamuka kuMokhane-ke kuwukuthi-ke abakaze bahambe nomnumzana uSibiya bamnikise kwisikhumulo sesiphoyisa salapha eFosforus kepha bamnikisa-ke kwisikhumulo noma ngaphansi kwesikhumulo sase-Alberton.
And furthermore, my lord, I can confirm as counsel for Mr. Sibiya says he was booked at Alberton ACPS, that indeed he was booked in the detention cells of Alberton SAPS by Sergeant Mokhane, and subsequent to that he was then booked out by Colonel Khatebe. This is now at the commencement of the pointing out. However, the prudent part in this, my lord, and that is in relation to the allegations of assault, is that nowhere when he was booked in by Mokhane does it indicate that he had injuries. He had no injuries according to the occurrence book, and we have the occurrence books of Alberton. But furthermore, when he was also booked out by for the pointing out purposes by Colonel Khatebe, there is also no entry that suggests that he was assaulted or injured up to the time when he was even booked back from the pointing out from Colonel Khatebe. There is no entry that says he was suggested, and further to that, booked out by Sergeant Mokhane when now they took him back to Valeria. Also, there is no indication in the OB that he was assaulted. And lastly, when he was received at Valeria from Alberton, the occurrence book there does not indicate that he was assaulted or had injuries, let me put it that way also, or a complaint of that nature.
Athi-ke futhi uyathanda ukuthi ebuye futhi enze isiqiniseko ngoba isiqiniseko yebo malana nenkulumo eqhamukile nommeli-ke lapho umnumzana Mnisi-ke la athi khona-ke umnumzana uSibiya kade bembukhile ngaphansi kwesikhumulo samaphoyisa sase-Alberton. Athi yebo yebo ngokweqiniso vele bambukha-ke lapho-ke umnumzana uSibiya-ke lapho-ke ngesikhathi kade afika ngaphansi kwesikhumulo sase-Alberton. Futhi umuntu wambukha-ke lapho-ke kade kuSergeant Mokhane-ke lapho-ke futhi ngesikhathi kade ambukha khona-ke lapho-ke ngaphansi kwencwadi abavama ukuthi bayigcwalise-ke lapho ke bayibiza ngegama lesingisi ukuthi occurrence book ke incwadi lapho ebhala khona ke abasolo uma ngabe befika lapho ke ejele ke noma mhlawumbe kade bagcina ke lapho ke ejele ke incwadi noma kuma police holding cells ke lapho ke incwadi abavama ukuthi babhala khona ukuthi uma ngabe umuntu alimele bayabhala khona ke nesikhathi angene ngaso umuntu wabhala ke lapho ke nokuthi ukhala ngani ukuthi ulimele ngani babhala phansi ke lapho ke athi futhi ngesikhathi umnumzana ke uKhatebe kafika kamkhipha ke lapho ke nakhona ke ngaphansi kwencwadi ngesikhathi umnumzana uKhatebe bekamkhipha ke lapho ke akukho labhale khona ukuthi umnumzana uSibiya kade alimele noma kade akhala ngokulimala noma kade anazo ke ikhalazo kade anazo ke ncamashini namayelana nodaba lwakhe ke lapho ke athi futhi ngesikhathi kade bemnikisa bemthatha futhi uma ngabe sekabuya ukwenza lokhomba kwakhe lokade bemhambisele khona ke lapho ke ethathwa lapho kuSergeant Mokhane akukho la kubhalwe khona ke kuthizini nke walimala ke ngesikhathi futhi uSergeant Mokhane bekamthatha lapho eAlberton emnikisa embusela ke emuva lapho ngaphansi kwesikhumulo sesiphoyisa sasefileria athi ngaphansi kodaba lencwadi bayibiza ukuthi occurrence book akukho la kubhalwe khona ke ukuthi umnumzana uSibiya kade alimele.
That will be my comment, my lord, at this stage.
Athi yilo yophela into angathana ukuthi akhulume ngayo kuze kufike isikhathi samanje.
Thank you, Brigadier. So the report that you got from Mokhane was, or you saying that Mokhane never spoke about them having went to force Lawrence, not so?
Uthi-ke mayelana nereport oyithola kuMokhane, uMokhane akakaze akhulume ngabo ukuthi bona ke bahamba bayi-phosphorus, akusinjalo yini?
That is correct, my lord.
Athi yebo kunjalo.
Do I then have to understand that the report that Mokhane gave you was per the instruction that they needed to drive from Fileria police station to Alberton police station, where they needed to go and detain Mr. Sibiya for the purposes of the pointing out?
Athi-ke manje ummeli usho ukuthi ngimalana nenkulumo owayikhuluma-ke noSergeant Mokhane kuwukuthi bathatheke lapho umnumzane uSibiyake bamhambise bamnikise ngaphansi bamnikise bese bamgcine-ke ngaphansi kwesikhumulo seziphoyisa saseAlberton, akusinjalo?
That is correct, my lord, but in addition to that, to say he must liaise with Colonel Khadebe, because I remember that I gave the number of Colonel Khadebe to him, and I also gave Colonel Khadebe Mokhane's contact numbers, my lord.
Athi yebo khona-ke kunjalo, kepha-ke ukhumbule khona njalo kunala ngathi khona-ke uSergeant Mokhane akaxhumane-ke nomnumzane uKhadebe-ke lapho-ke ngembangela ukuthi-ke ngabe uyena ngoba umnumzane uKhadebe kade kuye bakazoyenza umsebenzi ukuthi ahambe-ke nomsolo oqala bese nomnumzane uSibiyake bese bahambe bokhomba-ke lapho-ke futhi ngesikhathi bakakhuluma noSergeant Mokhane athi wamnika-ke lapho-ke inombolo zocingo zakababa uKhadebe futhi nobaba uKhadebe wamupha-ke inombolo zocingo zakaSergeant Mokhane.
So, Brigadier, from where you're standing based on the report that you got from Mokhane, is that Mokhane fully complied with the instructions that you gave him?
Athi-ke mina nodaba noma nenkulumo owayitshela-ke lapho kuSergeant Mokhane kuwukuthi yena-ke wasala emuva inkulumo kade umtshele yona-ke akusinjalo?
Yes, it is correct, my lord, and it was supported by the occurrence book. As I said, when I collected the occurrence book, I also saw, but down, that was at a later stage, that indeed he did book accused number 1 at the holding cells in Alberton. So the OB, when he moved from Valeria to the time when he was booked in Alberton, it is Sergeant Mokhane who booked him in there, my lord.
Athi yebo khona-ke kunjalo wayesale emuva-ke inkulumo yami futhi khona-ke isiqiniseko lapho ekade sikhona-ke malana nodaba le-occurrence book incwadi leyo-ke abavame ukuthi babhale khona-ke ngaphansi uma ngabe igcina-ke lapho-ke iyiboshwa noma mhlawumbe abasolwa-ke ngaphansi kwesikhumulo seziphoyisa futhi nayo inaso isiqiniseko sokuthi yena-ke wakwenza lokho kade ngimyalele ukuthi akwenze.
Thank you, Brigadier. You would also recall yesterday, Brigadier, that I said I will go and have a relook into my notes and come up with something that is on record. I did that. This was in relation to who would have arranged the photographer that was utilized when the pointing out of Mr. Sibiya in the presence of Colonel Khadebe was done. I diligently did that. The proceedings of the proceedings of the 28th November 2023. 28 November 2023, which was a trial within a trial, on page number 26. This is what you told the court.
Athi-ke manje umnumzane Mnisi baba umnumzane Brigadier ke ukuthi-ke lapho-ke khona kudaba izolo ade akhulumile ngalo-ke kepha wathi uzobuyela kulona-ke uma ngabe angahamba futhi abheke kuma-notes kade ashicilelwa la ngaphansi kwenkantolo-ke mayelana nodaba lokhu ukuthi ngabe ubani kade ahlelile lapho-ke umuntu kade akhona-ke ethubula-ke izithombe ngesikhathi lesi umnumzane uSibiya kade ahambe nobaba uKhadebe-ke ngesikhathi kade umnumzane uSibiya eyokhomba-ke lapho-ke ehamba nobaba uKhadebe futhi athi lolo daba lolo-ke kade sulidiki la ngaphansi kwenkantolo noma ngaphambi kusenkantolo ngelanga la nge-28 ngenyanga kaNovemba ngomnyaka 23 ngesikhathi kade khona icala ngaphakathi kwicala lapho-ke athi lelo ikhasi lokho lapho-ke lapho kwikhasi lesi-26 lelanga la nge-28 zakaNovemba ngomnyaka ka-2023 athi wona-ke inkulumo yakhe wayikhuluma ilokhu okulandelayo.
My Lord, now this is your testimony. Lieutenant Colonel Khadebe also was not privy to these investigations. He was never part of it before, and I've never worked with him.
Lapho ke thizena umnumzana ucolonel le Colonel Khatele ukuthi kade angena lutho alaziyo ngecala leli futhi bangasebenzi nawo licala leli futhi wona akazi wasebenza naye ngaphambili.
My Lord, I simply provided him with the case number and also made necessary arrangements for the photographer to be present on the day of the pointing out. And furthermore, that Sergeant Mokhane will be the one engaging him insofar as the movement of the accused to Alberton Police Station. And I communicated such to both of them, my Lord.
La uthizona khona kona kwenza ke inhlelo zokuthi yena ke kube uya ke ohlela ke lo hlelo lokuthi ahambe ke nomnumzana osibi yakhe bese ahambe utshengisa umnumzana osibi yakhe la kade umnumzana osibi yakhe bazomkhomba khona ke bese wathi wena ke owenza ke inhlelo kumlekelele nanoma kungani kade ayidinga ke lapho ke futhi uSergeant Mokhane ke kade kuye bazokelekelela ekuthizeni ahambise ke umsolo umnumzana osibi yakhe ekuthizeni aye lapho kade okhomba khona.
Now, you would recall yesterday that I said I don't want to go on with this if I haven't made assurances doubly sure. But this is what you said. That is at a time when then the state stood up and said and provided some evidence from the testimony of Mr. Mapakela. So I said, no, I'll bring what you said. This is just a conclusion of what I said I would do.
Athi la khona ke bakhuluma khona ke izolo ngodaba lolu ke kepha ihlangothi lethimba labashushisi bese laphakama ke lapho ke bese kwaqhamukisa kufakazi bakamnumzana uMaphakela lapho ke kepha kathena ke akafuni ukukhuluma ke into angenaso isiqiniseko sayo kungakho bacilile ukuthi sekhehlise kancane ke ngokukhuluma ngodaba lolu ke kuze kufinqike esikhathini samanje.
Yes, my Lord, I hear that and I agree with that. When I said the necessary arrangements, as I said, I indicated to Mokhane, and when I said necessary arrangements insofar as the photograph is insofar as which photograph works in that area where you'll be doing the pointing out. In other words, the area, the office, which is Germiston, I would went insofar as keep directing him to that part, but not necessarily phoning the photographer, indicating to him to meet Colonel Khadebe where and at what time, because I did not know that knowledge. But to put place to say, this is Sergeant Mokhane, you'll assist with the movement of the accused. This is the office that is responsible for taking photographs in Germiston. You know, that I would have provided, but not actually arranging the photograph and the communication and the movement of the photographer. That I didn't do, my Lord.
Athi yebo kuyakhumbula kodaba lolo futhi ukhumbula kahlehle ngoba yena ke khona ke la kade akhuluma khona ke uzokwenza ke idingo ezifanele ekuthizeni alekelele ke ithimba lakhe ngesikhathi ade behamba ke bokwenza lo msebenzi ade bokwenza mhlawumbe ukusesha kwecala lo kade bokwenza kathi khumbula khona njalo ke napha lapho wakhuluma ekuthizeni ke abantu abavama ekuthizeni basize ke ekuthuleni ke ithombe ke kule ndawo lena ke abantu bangaphansi koofisa seJimmiston ke lapho ke kepha thina kakhumbule ukuthi wakhuluma noSergeant Mokhane ukuthi lapho noma nobaba Khadebe ukuthi ke nayi inombolo zocingo zephotographer ke khona ke lapho ke noma nayi photographer ke khona ke lapho ukukhulumana ke nayo ke kepha thina kukhumbula kahle ukuthi lapho wakhuluma khona ke njalo nokuthi ithimba labantu abathubula ke ithombe ke ithimba leoffice lapho ke eJimmiston futhi kumele ukuthi bona bakhulumisane nalo ke yena akakhumbula ukuthi yena owahlela lo mhlangano mhlawumbe lo hlelo ekuthizini baxoxisane labantu labo ke ngodaba lwabo ukuthi bahamba njani kuphi ngesikhathi bahlangana kuphi nendawo.
Thank you, Brigadier. Are you then suggesting, Brigadier, that Lieutenant Khadebe would not have known which office to contact for purposes of arranging a photographer that would have accompanied him to the pointing out?
athi-ke manje umele usho ukuthi yona-ke babubhakade yagininda usho ukuthi umnumzana ulieutenant colonel Radebe kade angazi ukuthi kumele axhumane neliphi-ke ihhovisi ekuthizeni lihambe naye limsizeke noma ihhovisi labantu abathubuleke iy'thombe ukuthi bahambe naye bamlekeleleke ngesikhathi lesi bekahamba nomnumzana usibiya ayahamba ayokhomba lezo ndawo kade ayokhomba kuzona.
No, I'm not suggesting that, my lord. It is that is how we stand. So, for example, that is why even when the confession for accused one was taken by Colonel Mbotho, the request to move accused one from where he was to Colonel Mbotho was made to me. So in arrangements of such, it's not an unusual. In all confessions and pointing out that I participated, even myself, where I had to conduct pointing out, because I've done that, I have made such requests where I will say, what is the area that is responsible for taking photographs in that area? So you will solicit, rather request that information from the IO. Then subsequent to that, you then make your own arrangement according to availability. But there was nothing untoward with that part, my lord. And it doesn't suggest that the person may know, may not know. It's just same as a request of saying, bring the relevant person to this spot. You ask the IO, you don't say I'll come and fetch it. You say you bring him to this spot and that's where you comment. Same with your photograph, you may make a request to say, give me the relevant section or office that is dealing with photographs. Thereafter, you make your own arrangements according to the time that you want to conduct the pointing out, my lord.
athi cha into engiyikhuluma-ke leyo-ke kepha-ke ukhumbule khona ukuthi ngesikhathi lesi umnumzana usibiya kade yahamba kwenza i-confession eyenziswa-ke noma eyenza ngaphansi noma eyenza phambi komnumzana-ke lapho-ke umbotho-ke lapho-ke kuwukuthi umnumzana umbotho waxhumana naye ucingweni-ke ubrigadier-ke Gininda ngoba kade kenakho kade ahola-ke ithimba labaseshi becala leli-ke amcela khona ukuthi abamlethele mhlawumbe abenzeke iy'nhlelo zokuthi bawuletheke umnumzana usibiya-ke kubona-ke futhi athina-ke ngesikhathi esikade kusenzeka lokho-ke yena bakhuluma ucingweni ngesikhathi kade bekhuluma-ke noma bexoxisana ngesikhathi leso-ke kulawo khona-ke wabuza ukuthi ngabe yiliphi-ke ihhovisi elihamba phambili noma ihhovisi ekusubeke kulona evame ukuthi lenza umsebenzi uthize bathatha iy'thombe-ke lapho-ke athi ngemuva kwalokho-ke usho ukuthi yena-ke wamtshela ukuthi ihhovisi leli-ke bese-ke ngemuva kwalokho-ke so ukuthi umuntu loyo-ke usuke ehambisana nomsolwa noma ehamba nomsolwa-ke ekuthizeni benzeke udaba lalo-ke uyena-ke uzihambela phambili bese enzeke iy'nhlelo zokuthi uhlangana njani-ke nethimba leli labantu abathatha-ke iy'thombe-ke lapho.
Thank you, Brigadier. Now, I said I'll come back to the issue of Lieutenant Colonel Mbotho or Colonel Mbotho as well. Now, just love to extract what Colonel Mbotho told to this court. On the 13th of October 2023, those are the proceedings.
Yes, my lord.
On page 66, this is what he told to this court while he's being cross-examined by Mr. Ramusipili. He says to the court, okay, Mr. Ramusipili, ask him. Indeed so, my lord. Colonel, when Brigadier, at the time, Gininda asked you to assist with the taking down statement, was it for the first time that you have had such a request from him? Then Mbotho says, specific for him to take a call and call me, it was the first time. Did you know him as a person before Gininda? The answer from Mbotho is, I knew him as a police officer. Close.
athi-ke lapho khona-ke inkulumo lapho uLieutenant Colonel Mbotho kayikhuluma-ke la ngaphambi kwenkosi yenkantolo-ke ngelanga lange-13 zaka-October ngomnyaka ka-2023 lapho-ke ngaphansi kwekhasi le-66-ke lapho-ke ngesikhathi ade kubuza imibuzo lapho umnumzane Ramusipili ekuthizeni yena-ke ngabe mhlawumbe kade koqala-ke ukukhuluma nawe-ke usathena mayelana nocingo ade aqala ukukhuluma nawe futhi beyaqala ukukhuluma nawe ngecala leli-ke kepha bambuza futhi ukuthi ngabe kade akwazi yini athi yebo kade akwazi njengomunye oza kwabo suthi njengomunye osebenza ngaphansi kwesiphoyisa.
It's what I said, my lord. I did say that I know him as well. I indicated that the first time I knew him, I think he was a branch commander in Cleveland. So he is saying that I knew him as a police officer. I'm not so sure whether I should comment or something else, my lord.
athi yebo naye ufakazi lokho wakhulumile ukuthi nekade amazi ke futhi ngesikhathi beqala kumazi wamazi njenge branch commander elapho ke Cleveland uthi umazi njengomuntu osesiphoyiseni.
Thank you, Brigadier. I note that you not commenting about him saying that never worked with you before.
athi ke lapho kuthi yena akazi wasebenza nawe ngaphambilini.
No. But that's why I said I agree with him, my lord. It's what I've said. I've never worked with him before. I still, that is the position. I've never worked with him as well. I agree with him, my lord.
athi yebo kunjalo ngiyahambisana ke nawe nama ngikaze ngasebenza naye ngaphambili.
Thank you. And indeed, on the 22nd of January 2024, on page 49, you are confirming exactly what you're just saying now, why it's been cross-examined by Mr. Mngomezulu. Mngomezulu put it to you as follows, and you said you did not know Colonel Mbotho. Am I correct? And your answer to that question was, no, I said I've never worked with him, and he was not privy to the investigation.
khona ke la ilanga kade ubuzwa ke imibuzo ke oseleke akwashona ke lapho kumnumzana uMngomezulu ngesikhathi akubuza ukubuza ukuthi ngabe uthize ngabe awumazi yini ke lapho kumnumzana uColonel Lieutenant Colonel Mbotho ke izothi na cha uyamazi kepha akakazi wasebenza naye ngaphambili.
Indeed, my lord, that is correct. The only person that I recall that I've said, and that is the position that I did not know, was Colonel Rapadu. That was the first time I spoke to him when he assisted me, and it was the first time I met him when I fetched the confession from him. But insofar as Mbotho, that has been my position, my lord.
athi yebo khona ke kunjalo kepha ke kunomunye umuntu othizile lapho ke uColonel Rapadu uyena kade angamazi futhi yena ngabaqala ukumbona ngelanga leli kade ehamba eyakena ke uthatha iphepha le confession kena ke athi beqala ukumbona futhi beqala bayaqala nqa ukusebenza nakhe ngesikhathi leso ke kepha ke akufani nodaba la kwamnumzana uLieutenant Colonel Mbotho.
Now, thank you, Brigadier. With that in mind, let us proceed to the next phase of that issue. Now, Brigadier, is it correct that in the course and scope of your duties, you also did some cases that were reported around Meadowlands and Cleveland around 2014?
athi ngabe kuyiqiniso yini ikhizelo senza ngaphansi kwamacala aseMeadowlands futhi eCleveland ngesikhathi phakathi komnyaka ka2014?
If I can get specific in terms of the case numbers, my lord, because I did a lot of cases.
athi nakuma ngathola ke ama case number ke lapho ke uqondile ngoba maningi amacala asasebenze kuwona ke.
Thank you. Now, I'm not so sure whether you remember Meadowlands case 26712 of 2013.
267 of 20?
267 of 12 of 2013.
athi akazi yini ukuthi ngabe sakhumbula incala lapho ke Meadowlands le case number 267/12/2013.
Yes, I do recall that case, my lord.
athi yebo ngiyakhumbula icala lelo.
We will not get into the merits of the case.
athi ngeke siqiniza ngokujulile ke icala lelo ke.
Thank you.
Understood, my lord.
Is it correct, therefore, Brigadier, that in the course and scope of your investigation of that case, one of the accused in that case, I don't want to use the term volunteered because I don't know what happened, but one before I arrived there. Do you agree that you're an investigating officer there?
No, no, it was not a single case, my lord. That case came as a result of the multidisciplinary tax team that was assembled by then General Biega, who was the national commissioner.
bathi ngabe uyavuma yini ukuthi kade ukwenaka umholi wethimba labaseshi kuqala lelo kathina cha akuvumile lokho ke ngoba kade khona ke lapho kade khona ke kade kusenza khona ukuthi noma ke disciplinary hearing futhi ke indlela ukuthi abasebenzi beziphoyisa beqoqe khona ke lo disciplinary hearing kade yenziwa lapho ke wangasele ke wayeka lesiphoyisini umnomzana uRiapieha.
I was part of the investigators, my lord.
Athina kade komunye wethimba labaseshi beqala lelo ke.
Thank you. Now, being part of the team of investigators, is it correct that in the course and scope of the investigation of the team, one of the accused persons in that case, whose name is really not necessary for these proceedings, ended up making a confession before Colonel Mbotho?
That is correct, my lord.
Athi lapho ke omunye ke wabasolo kuqala lelo ke lapho ke Middlelands le case 267/12/2013 ukuthi ke wenza ke confession ke lapho ke yenza komunye ke waba umnomzana lapho kuMbotho athi yebo kunjalo,
And that was in 2014 or so.
kade kunyaka 2014 akusenjalo.
I can't be certain, my lord, but it could be around that time, 2014, 2015. It is possible, my lord. I just don't have the correct date, but it's not far. If it's not 2014, then it's not far from there, my lord.
Athi ake nasiqiniseko sokuthi kade kuwumuphi ke unyaka lapho ke phakathi komnyaka 2014 futhi unyaka 2015.
Thank you. Now, the confession that, just a second. The confession that Colonel Mbotho took from the accused was on the 5th of June 2020. No. Was on the 30th of May 2020, not so? 2020.
Athi lapho confession kade ayithatha kumnumzana uMbotho kade kuyilanga la nge-30 zakaMeyi ngonyaka 2020.
That is correct, my lord.
Athi yebo kunjalo.
And this is almost 7 or 6 years after you had worked with Mbotho in another case where Mbotho took a confession where you were also the investigating officer, not so?
Wathathe kungemuva komnyaka ewusithupha noma iminyaka esikhombisa ke ngemuva thona usebenzela umnumzana kuMbotho ke kulinye ke icala laqala ngonyaka 2013 akusenjalo.
No, that's not so. That's not accurate. Firstly, my lord, I did not work with Colonel Mbotho. That is the position then, and is still the position up to the time he retired. That's the first part.
Athi cha nakakaza sebenzeke nomnumzana uColonel Mbotho ke eqaleni futhi kuzofinyelela isikhathi sokuthena akathathe umhlala phansi wakhe ke.
And secondly, as I've said, it was the multidisciplinary task team that was coordinated by the National Commissioner. It consisted of the Deputy National Commissioners, Generals and Brigadiers, and Crime Intelligence. I was just one of the investigators. That confession, my lord, came as a result of an arrangement that was made by the late General Ndlovu. He was part of the provincial office, and he is the one that made contact with Colonel Mbotho.
Athi ke lapho ke lokho kwenzeka ngemuva kokuthi ade khona ongephathi kahle ke ngaphansi kwabantu bezesiphoyisa ke lapho ke sokuthi multidisciplinary lapho kade khona ke athi futhi ithimba lakade lahola ke ngosele kangasekho lapho ulate General Ndlovu ke lapho ke futhi nabanye bezesiphoyisa kade besebenza lapho ke njengethimba futhi manje amaphoyisa amaningi ke lapho ke nabo Major General nabo General ke lapho ke kade besebenza ngokuthi kade kuyithimba noma kade basebenza njengethimba ngesikhathi besebenza ke kwicala lelo kathina ke kulawa bizwa khona ke thizena keza angenelele noma athi kulekelela ke lapho ke licala lelo noma session icala lelo.
Thank you, Brigadier, for that explanation. Now, Brigadier, you would also recall that I said that I will come back to the statements. I'll come back to the statements that were to the affidavits that you had to go and that you actually went and organized arrange from the people who you received the certain warning statements from, those ZZ1 up to ZZ5 statements. Do you still remember?
I do recall, my lord.
Thank you.
athi khona kudaba la kade sikhulumile ngalo ngathi sibuye kulona ke udaba lama affidavit usho inkulumo ebhalwe ngaphansi kwesifungo ke mayelana nodaba lama statement athi wacelile ke kuyikhumulo zamaphoyisa akhe ezahlukene. Ngabe sakhumbula yini lokho athi ufakazi? Yebo ngisakhumbula.
Now there's one statement that I would read and put the content thereof into the records.
athi khona ke statement esisodwa la ngathana ukuthi asifundeke lapho ke sabuya ukukhuluma ke ngaso ke la ngaphambi kwenkosi enkantolo.
Actually, it's an affidavit.
athi lapho inkulumo kade ibhaliwe ke ibhalwa ngaphansi kwesifungo should affidavit ngolumi lesingisi.
I'm listening, my lord.
Now, I'm not so sure. I think it's an affidavit that accompanies that document that came from Graf Reinert and most probably from the Damascope.
athi affidavit iqhamuka lapho ke kwisikhumulo sesiphoyisa sase-Grafrenet ekuphelekezwa statement sase-Damascope.
Yeah, it's written in very fine print. I will, however, try the best that I can to go through it. I will not put the name of the deponent. He's our colleague. Specifically, he's my former colleague when I was still in the government. So, out of respect for him and his integrity as such, I will not put his particulars on record. I will start on paragraph number 2. I'm just not so sure whether you've got the statement with you.
Yeah, perhaps if.
I'm not so sure whether you've got a copy of that statement.
No. Just.
Thank you.
You can give it to him. I don't have just got it. Do you have? No. Tell you what to get him.
Just not sex statement.
Thank you.
What? Until the 17 minutes past 11. Can you adjourn until 11:30?